You may have seen the title for today's video, and you may be rolling your eyes thinking, oh my god, he's not going to bang on about Steam Early Access again, is he? No. No, I'm not. So keep watching, please. I need the attention. It's not actually about Steam Early Access, it's just the title I had was really good and thematically on point, so I used it. And it does make sense when you watch the video, which is actually more about Street Fighter V and related topics. So do watch it, because, like I said, I really need the attention. With Street Fighter V joining the ranks of Rainbow Six Siege and Star Wars Battlefront as a game that launched before all its content was ready, I think it's time we started the call for labelling these games exactly what they are. They're early access games in all but name. When early access was new on Steam, I once caustically suggested AAA publishers would start exploiting the idea eventually, but I didn't quite expect them to be as surreptitious in their implementation, releasing polished but content-lacking productions as hubs into which they can plug more content later. It may not be a broken piece of crap like Earth 2060, 21, whatever it was, but the result is the same. It's an unfinished game. Battlefront, Siege, and Street Fighter V were all released with missing features under the promise that more stuff would be drip-fed to us over a length of time. The only difference between them and the average early access game is that at least the content we do get at launch is in relatively working order, at least for the most part. Sometimes. When online servers aren't a load of shit. There's one other major difference, the total lack of fucking warning for launch day buyers. Despite these products being unfinished, they're under no obligation to be labelled with any such disclaimer. When Ubisoft, EA and Capcom are pressuring the average customer into pre-ordering their skeleton games, they don't have to so much as suggest in promo materials that the actual meat is coming at a later date. Yes, clued-in customers can read interviews and other news sources to find out the exact details of a game, but the average Street Fighter fan, for example, who just wants to casually pick up the latest entry in the series, well, I think they'd be well within their rights to be severely disappointed when they're greeted with a menu that features a ton of greyed out options, a jaw-droppingly threadbare story mode, and little outside of an unreliable online battle mode to keep them coming back. Defenders of the game have excuses for the lacking content, citing pressure from less casual players to have the competitive core brought out early in time for Evo and the like. But you know what? Rushing out a product that's wholly insufficient for the wider casual audience is kinda bullshit when you're not making it abundantly clear at the time of purchase. The current release of Street Fighter V should be called like Pro Competitive Edition Casuals Fuck Off Edition or something. Like Battlefront should be called the starter version, don't worry you'll get some new maps drip-fed months later edition. I mean fuck, I like Battlefront. A lot. Love playing it. But goddamn, it's hard to stay invested when it was released months ago and all we've had is the Battle of Jakku in the interim. The only other thing to currently play for is character customization options that are pathetically boring until you get past level 40. And even then you get a handful of shit. Why do we get nothing but boring human heads for stormtroopers until level 40? You can have TIE fighter pilots, Imperial officers, all sorts of shit, but no, just interchangeable human heads. Without helmets, what's the point until you get a scout trooper at 40 and a shadow trooper at 50? Total fucking bollocks. They're probably saving decent character models for DLC or something, which is the other big thing marking these glorified early access games as their own thing. This new shift to threadbare early access launches comes on top of all the existing bullshit we already deal with. You're still expected to buy collector's editions, face potential microtransactions and paid DLC, and of course buy fucking insipid season passes for almost as much money as the main fucking game. Same old $60 premium experience industry bullshit, but with far less content in return. This is why the new face of AAA gaming, Early AAAccess, I think the buzz term I invented works better in text. Which brings us to Splatoon, and the answer to the question as to why Nintendo was able to get away with it. Perhaps the catalyst for the recent early triple access movement, Splatoon was able to get away with it for a number of things it did that EA, Ubisoft and Capcom haven't copied. For a start, Splatoon started drip-feeding its extra content almost immediately, with regular weekly updates leading towards a larger and more robust update. There were no stupid season passes or DLC to add financial insult to monetary injury, and the content was presented presented in a way that didn't give the appearance of shortchanging. No greyed out option menus to let us know shit wasn't finished, and it also helped that the online servers were actually fucking stable, and we weren't kicked out of gameplay constantly, unlike with a certain fighting game. With Splatoon, you got the idea that the release model was designed from the ground up to keep players invested over a longer period of time. With these other early AAAccess games, I can't help but think shit was pulled out of the oven months before it was cooked. In any case, and I'll hold Splatoon to the same standard, these games need a label. I'll be calling them early AAAccess for now, because I am unduly proud of the term, but if publishers are going to make a habit of releasing unfinished games for whatever reason, we need to know. And I don't just mean customers should feel they have to constantly pour through blogs to research every purchase. It should say right there on the box art, the digital storefront in trailers, that this is a foundation game, a hub game, a core onto which further content will be built. Its unfinished, quasi-released status needs to be highlighted front and center, because right now Street Fighter V is presented to the average customer as a full game until they get it home and play it, and that's bloody scummy. Promising quote-unquote free updates at vague points in future months isn't good enough. When you're happy to take $60 now for the shit released months later, customers are right to be pissed off at you, because nobody should be forking over $60 for something that could be functionally useless to them until it gets the features they were expecting. Street Fighter V, Rainbow Six Siege, and Star Wars Battlefront are early access games, and their publishers are assholes for not having the guts to admit that. Huge thanks to Laura Kate, aka Laura K Buzz, Podquisition co-host, and the capturer of the Street Fighter footage, because I can't play Street Fighter, basically. There are many things I can do, but Street Fighter ain't one of them. And she recorded that footage during a weekend where she was fighting Sans in Undertale, doing the Betrayer run, and had spent the entire weekend on the Sans fight, going up against all sorts of problems that got in the way of her beating him, and she died many, many times, and if I was her, I'd have hated video games by that point. So the fact she recorded that footage for me marks her out as one hell of a trooper, who we salute. So thank God for her. But more importantly, thank God for me, even though I can't play Street Fighter. In fact, thank God for me more because I can't play Street Fighter. I need the pity as well as the attention. So thank God for me. Well, here's a fun time. It's time for Fuck Konami News. All the news that's fit to make you say, fuck Konami. Oh yes, they're back in the news, they just can't resist. Seemingly, apropos of nothing, Konami decided that the PC version of Metal Gear Solid 5 in Japan would start having expiry dates on the microtransactions. The microtransactions that were already an insult by their mere presence in the game. You've got to use them within 6 months on PC in Japan. Why? It's Konami. Fuck even knows. Maybe they're saving money doing this somehow. I don't know how it can make them money. I don't understand the logic of any of this, so file this under one of Konami's most common draws. The I don't know what the fuck they were thinking draw. Because that's Konami all over. I don't know what the fuck any of them are expiry dates on your made-up fucking Magic Monopoly coins. God damn, fuck you, Konami. That's just petty. And I realise accusing Konami of pettiness is like accusing a dog of having stinky shit out of its bum, and I could have come up with a better metaphor than that. That's just crass. Nah, all the other ones I can come up with are just offensive. We'll stick with stinky bum. But yeah, Konami has a stinky bum is what I'm trying to say. Fuck Konami. Expiry dates on the microtransactions in Metal Gear Solid 5. On just PC in Japan. Why? We will probably never know. Because logic is... You know those cartoons, the Looney Tunes cartoons, when Porky Pig or whoever would go to where the dodo live, Dodo Land or whatever, to catch the dodo, and all this weird wacky shit's happening. You know, like three-headed monsters that are like the Three Stooges, and a rubber band that's a little marching band of elastic bands, and just all this like just this shit that makes no sense, that is of no logic whatsoever. I like to think that is Konami's headquarters, and the dodo from Looney Tunes runs the place. It's the only explanation I have at this point, the only one.